Hello everybody. So through this session we will continue with the literature and we'll continue scene passages only. So today's chapter is Baker from Goa. So the very first scene passage is this one only. So first of all we will read the paragraph carefully and try to answer these questions only. So the very first question after reading the paragraph carefully, what do the elders remember nostalgically? So in the very first line it is written here that elders her dimensioning means remembering nostalgically the old good Portuguese days and their famous loaves of bread. So that is the answer only in the very first line given here. So we'll write down elders remember nostalgically the old Portuguese days and the loaves of bread. Likewise, the second question is, whom do the residents of Goa still have among them? So in the third line here, it is given that they still have amongst them the mixers, the molders, those are used to bake the loaves, breads. So we'll write down they still have the mixers, the molders, and bakers of bread amongst them. Next is, what are the time tested things which still exist there? So it is also in the end of the third line, those age old time tested furnaces still exist. So furnaces are the time tested things which still exist there. So we'll write down the furnaces of the bakers are the time tested things which still exist there. Likewise, the fourth question is, how are the bakers known as in Goa? So in the last line it is given here that bakers are known as pedder in Goa. So we'll write down the baker are known as pedder. Last question is, find a word from the passage which means put out. So fire used to be put out and here the fire is put out from the furnaces. It is written here the fire in the furnaces has not yet been extinguished. So the word extinguished is means put out only. So we'll quickly just give the word here extinguished. Like with the second paragraph is this one only. So the very first question, and first of all we will read the paragraph carefully and try to attempt these questions only. What was the baker's place in Goa in the author's childhood days? So this is also very clearly written in the very first line that during his childhood in Goa the baker used to be their friend, companion and a guide. So we'll write down in those days the baker was the friend, companion, and guide. Second question is what happened after the author woke up on hearing the baker's jingling sound? So, on the jingling thud of the bamboo, they woke up from their sleep and they ran to meet and greet him. So, in a very small sentence, we will write so for 1 mark, he ran to meet and greet him or the baker. Who bought the loaves? So this is also written here clearly. Some Pasquine or Bastine, the maid servant of the house, they bought the loaves only. So we'll write down the maid servant of the house bought the loaves of bread. Likewise, the fourth question is what did the narrator long for? So this is also written here that they longed for the bread bangles. So as in question only narrator is mentioned, so we'll write about him only that he longed for bread bangles. Last question is also here. This one is quite related to the fourth one only. Find a phrase from the passage which means wished for. So wished for is longed for only. What the children wished for, they longed for. So the meaning of wished for is longed for only. So we'll write down only here longed for. Like the third passage is there. So the very first question in the third paragraph, we'll attempt after reading the paragraph carefully. How did the baker make his musical entry? So in the very first line it is written here that the baker made his musical entry with the jang jang sound of his bamboo staff. Bamboo staff means bamboo stick, thick stick. So we'll write down the baker made his musical entry with the chang chang sound of his bamboo staff. Second question is what can the author still recall? So in the fifth line here it is written here that he can still recall the typical fragrance of the bread loaves. So we'll write down he can still recall the typical fragrance of the loaves. Likewise, the third question is there. What did the author and the other kids do to look into the baker's basket? So for that, written here in the fifth line only, that they would climb a bench or the parapet just to peep into the basket. So we'll write down they would climb a bench or the parapet to look into the baker's basket. Fourth question is what was thought as a nice mouthwash to clean up everything? So in the very last, second last and last lines, that hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely. So hot tea was considered as a nice mouthwash. So we'll write down hot tea was considered a nice mouthwash. Last question it is find a word from the passage which means chid. So we have to find the meaning, same synonym of chid in the passage. So the word here is rebuke only, a mild rebuke given by the baker only. So we'll write down rebuke